Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to our presentation about biosecurity software. It will be a presentation mainly focused on introduction of the software. You'll see an introduction. Here we can see the content. First, we will see an introduction to the software, different options that we have. Then we will see some example scenarios in which we can use the ZKBioSecurity software, and then we will have a practical part where we'll do a setup of an installation, of an access control installation. Okay, what is ZKBioSecurity? ZKBioSecurity is a web-based, all-in-one advanced access control solution. So it means in our ZK portfolio, it is the software, the solution that is focused on the projects. It's focused on the big installations where we have some special requirements. It's also important to know that ZKBioSecurity only supports the products of the green label product line. It's a special product line for the people that don't know it. It's a special product line that we have in BioSecurity, that we have in ZK, and it's let's say we can say it's like the premium product line in our company. Here we see some different modules that ZKBioSecurity has integrated. With these modules, we try to cover most part of the security installations in different situations. First, we have a module that is the user management, of course. Then we have an advanced an access control module with advanced functions. This is the most important module in all the software. We have an time and attendance module. We have an elevator module with online and offline functions. We have a hotel management. We have a visitor management. Then we have a module dedicated to the public parking management. We have a guard patrol control. We have a CCTV linkage. With the CCTV linkage, we are able to link our access control with our CCTV system. That means that we can have some video records in case that we want to link some special events that are happening in the access control system. We are able to link them with our CCTV system. And we also have a new module, recent module, that is a consumption module. Consumption module is related with the consumption in a restaurant or internal canteen in the company. And if we want to charge some credits in the card, we can discount this credit if the employees want to buy something inside of the company. These are some of the main features that we have in the ZKBioSecurity software. We have an integration. We have an integration with RPR for parking. We have an all-in-one biometric identification. It means that the software supports all identification verification, all biometric verifications that we have, that we are supporting in ZK. It is a software that has a high number of door capacity. It means it is suitable for big installations. Actually, we have a capacity of 2,000 doors for each of the servers, and with multiple server, we are reaching up to 8,000 doors, which is a really, very huge installation. There's a web-based time and attendance module. We have some emails notifications. We have automatic backups. The CCTV module is compatible with ONBIF. It means that we support most of the cameras in the market. We have a global anti-passback and linkage functions. We can define different areas, and then we can apply anti-passback to that areas. We have the possibility of an API for third-party integration, so it's easy to interconnect with third-party software. We have flexible card formats. It means that we can use card readers from third-party companies and easily integrate them into our system. We have an online guard control, as I mentioned before. We can online check the status of if our guard patrols are, if our guard security guard staff is doing the is doing the rounds in the correct way. It has a user-friendly UI, user interface. We have flexible verification modes. It means we can have different verification modes for each of the time schedules. So we can have, for example, a high security time zone in which we have some additional verification, and we can have low security time zones in which only, for example, only a card verification or PIN verification is okay. We are able to enable and disable doors. Okay, this means that the software is controlled by a license, and this license depends on the number of points that we have for each of the modules. In the case of access control, it depends on the number of doors that we have. So if we don't have a license, we don't have enough doors, we can disable some doors to add some more, so it's flexible. We can also assign time zones to our exit buttons and auxiliary outputs. That means I can have a time zone in which I can use the exit button, and other time zones in which I disable the exit button. We also have a hotel management module, and we have also an elevator controller where we can manage also the elevator controller offline. Okay, there are two modes for the elevator controller. One is the offline mode, in which we connect directly the controller to the software using the TCP/IP connection, and there's another mode of this elevator controller that is the offline, where we store the user credentials inside of the MIFARE card, and with this MIFARE card we can operate the elevator controller. We also have the possibility of managing, remote managing, using a mobile application. This mobile application is used for the management of the software. Okay, these are some example scenarios where we can use the ZKBioSecurity software. One of these sample scenarios is the visitor management. In the visitor management, we have the possibility of the integration of the OCR scanner. It means that with an OCR scanner, we are able to get the data out of a passport, out of ID card, and directly autofill some information for the visit. It is very common that in big buildings, there's a reception desk in which a visitor has to check in when he arrives at the building. And if there are too many visits, it's complicated to type in all the information all the time when a new visit comes to the building. So the OCR scanner can be helpful in that cases. We can also print out a personalized card for the visit. We can also print out a badge with a QR code for the reader. We can also use the facial recognition for the visits. It means that we can take a picture of the visit, and this picture can be used to enroll this user in our access control devices. So we can have access for this user to the visitor access levels only using his face that we capture in the reception desk. When we register a visitor, we can activate for him some visitor access levels and some elevator levels. It means that when we register him, he will get an access control level. That means that he probably can access through the main door and not secondary doors, and he can also we can also activate him some special elevator levels. If the person that he's going to visit is in a special level, we can give him the access rights to access to this level. It's also possible to integrate it with a signature pad to collect the consent of the visit. This is important now because of the GDPR law. It is necessary to get the consent of the visit, that you're recording his personal data. We can set some alerts if how many times the visit has stayed in our building, and we also have the possibility of an employee page. It means that the employee can access to his personal page, and he can manage his own visits. He can check in his own visits, and he can check if the visit has already arrived. This is a second example scenario. It's a hotel management. Okay, the hotel module in ZKBioSecurity allows us to manage our offline hotel logs. It is the hotel logs, the LH. In this case, we have the picture of the LH 8600 and the LH 7500. It's possible to, these are offline hotel logs, and it's possible with this module to manage this offline hotel logs. We can also do some room reservation. We have also an integration with the OCR scanner if it's necessary to help with the checking of the visits of the users, the guests in this case. We have a real-time display with the room status. We are also managing the lost card. Means that if someone has lost a card, we can generate a new card that deletes the old card, let's say. It is also integrated with the access control and elevator. It means that with the same card that we give to one guest to open his room in the hotel, he can also open rooms that belong to the access control. For example, if there are some special rooms like VIP rooms, like swimming pool, we can use the same card to activate that part. Also the parking, and we can also in the same card use it for the elevator control. It means that if his room is in floor number 2, we can activate in his card that he will only have access to floor 2. We also have consumption management. It means that we are able to bill at the end of the stay the consumption that the guest has done in the mini bar and the restaurant, and then generate a bill with this. And this is new. We are going to release in the next weeks a new system, a new hotel log system that will be online, will be wireless, and will be online. This will give us some new functions that we don't have in the offline system. In that case, we can make some remote openings, and we can check also the online status of each of the door locks. Okay, this is an example of an advanced access control system. Okay, in the advanced access control system where we can have global linkages, we can have advanced global anti-passback functions. With this, I mean that in our standard access control systems, it's not possible to have communication between different controllers. So that means if I have an installation of 8 doors and I have 2 4-door panels in my system, I'm not able to make, for example, an anti-passback between door 1 and door 8, because door 1 and door 8 belong to different controllers. So there's no communication between these controllers. But ZKBioSecurity is able to solve this, because there's one feature that is the background verification. So the verification, at least at the end, is done by the server. So the server sees all the system like a global system. That's no problem to have different anti-passbacks between doors that don't belong to the same controller. The same happen with a linkage. I can have a linkage input in one controller, and this can affect to all the system. We can have also linkages to our CCTV system, and we can do some. We also have linkages to our CCTV system, and we can do some recordings. For example, if there's a special alarm in my access control system, like a forced door, we have some door sensors. With the door sensor, we know this. We know the door status. If we know the door status, we can know if someone has opened a door without verification. That means it will be an open forcedly event. This event I can link it in my CCTV system to have a recording about this kind of events. So later in the reports, we can review if we see some alarm or some special event, and we have a recording for this, we can review the recording of this alert. We have also email alerts. It means that for the different events, we can send one email to the user that we want. We have an area capacity control. It means that we can define an area and we can set the maximum and also the minimum capacity of the people in that area. We have an who is inside list, online who is inside list for each of the areas. It means that in real time, we can know which people are in any of these areas. We also support UHF long-range readers and LPR recognition. We have flexible verification modes. I mentioned this before. We are able to set for the different time zones, we are able to set different verification modes. This has a special functionality that is in some cases between office hours, it's not really necessary to have a high security verification. We can set, for example, during office hour from 9 to 18, we can have a verification that is only card, and after 6 in the afternoon, when the office is supposed to be empty, then we can have a higher security mode that combines fingerprint and card, for example. We are able to make a remote management using a mobile application. This is important for an advanced access control system because in advanced access control system, there's normally one person that is in charge of the access control. And this person needs to be something like 24 hours available. Something can happen, someone has forgot his card and you need to make a remote open. There's someone that was fired that day and you need to delete him immediately from the system. So the mobile application is a very useful tool for the administrator of the access control system because he can easily manage everything from a mobile application. You don't need to be physically there in the installation. He can do it comfortable at home, and it's very convenient. We have also an optional backup service for backup servers. Okay, so in some critical installation, the server can never be offline. So we have some special servers that can provide a second backup server that in case of failure of the first server will, let's say, jump to the second server. And we have an interactive online map. Okay, this is now the practical part of the presentation, in which I want to show you a setup of access control system using ZKBioSecurity. In this case, for this practical issue, I've prepared here on my desk one InBio Pro controller, which is connected via TCP/IP to my PC. In my PC, I have a running ZKBioSecurity installation. I have connected a USB reader, and to the controller, I have connected via RS-485 an FR1500 slave fingerprint reader. Okay, the target of this practical session is first, I want to show you how to configure the IP address, server IP, and the server port in the controller. Then we will create some time zones and access level. We will create a new user. We will perform a verification with this new user. And later we will do some overview over the most important access control functions. For this, I'm going to change to my web browser. Okay, I will log out. Okay, first you can see this is the IP address of the controller. Okay, This is the default IP of all our controllers, 192.168.1.201. By default, this is the IP address of all our controllers. You see that if I access to this IP address, I have access to web server. The default identification is admin. Okay, here I can configure the IP address of my controller, and important, I also have this push settings here. Okay, in the push settings, this is important. This is the most important part. Here I have to set the IP address and the port where my biosecurity server is running. Okay, in this case, the server address is 192.168.1.20 and the port is 7777. This is the same information that I've entered here. I just have to confirm it. In this case, I didn't make any change. That's why it's not asking to reboot. If I make some change, the controller will need to reboot. Okay, this is the main screen, the enter screen of the ZKBioSecurity software. By default, it is also admin. Okay. Here you see we have the all the modules that I have mentioned before. Today we are only going to see an introduction of the access control module. We have now defined in our controller the IP address and port for our ZKBioSecurity server. Now if we click on device, we can click on search, make a search, and it will look for our controller. Okay, here we see it has found our controller. Okay, it is an Bio 100 Pro controller, and the server address is correct because I have already entered this information in the web server of the controller. So I just have to click on edit. Here I can change the name of the controller. In this case, I will call it Testing Bio. Here I can add it to a master level. Okay, the master level is for very simple installations where everyone will access to all the doors 24 hours a day. Then if I add this controller directly to the master level, all the users that I will create have directly access to the doors of this controller. But I will not do it in this case because I will create a special access level for the users. It's always recommended to clear the information because there can be some information from previous installations, and it's always recommended to clear all the information. Okay, you see the controller will restart now, so it takes some seconds. And then when we refresh, our controller will appear here. Okay, you see that the controller is already added to the software. In the real-time monitoring, we can see in real time what is happening in our controller. In this case, we have only one door in our installation because it's this controller that only has one door. Now I will show you how to add a user to the controller and then make a verification with this controller. First, we have to create our time zones. By default, we have a 24-hour time zone. We can create new time zones. For example, we can create a time zone that is from 9 to 18, from Monday to Friday, means from Monday from 9 to 18. We copy this configuration until Friday, okay? And we have created time zone that is from 9 to 18 from Monday to Friday. Then we will create an access level. By default, we have the master access level. That is always by default there. But we will create a new access level. This new access level, I will call it door 1 from 9 to 18. I will select a time zone that is from 9 to 18. And it asks me directly if I want to add some doors to this access level. I say yes, and it will be the door number 1. Okay, so you see I have created an access level that allows me to open door 1 from 9 to 18 from Monday to Friday. Now, if I go to create a user, I go to the personal menu, click on new, user ID 1, name, last name. Optionally, I can use a picture. I can select a picture. I can use my webcam to capture a picture. This picture that I capture here can be also sent to our visible light devices, to our visible light face recognition devices. And it's possible with to enroll my face using this user picture. Here I can register my fingerprint. I will connect my USB reader to the PC. We click on register. We select the finger that we want to enroll. It's 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. The fingers enrolled. You see we have the option of the duress fingerprint. Okay, duress fingerprint is a special fingerprint that I will select, for example, this one. And I will use this fingerprint in case that someone is forcing me to open a door. So I will use the regular fingerprint always, and if there is some emergency situation and someone is forcing me, pointing me with a gun or something else to open a door, I can use this fingerprint to open the door, and it will activate a special event. And this event can be linked to an auxiliary output, and it can turn on my alarm system. And you see the access levels. By default, the users have always the master access level. In this case, I'm not using the master access level for this controller, so I have to add the access level manually. In this case, I will assign this access level to my user. Okay, so the user number 1, I have enrolled his fingerprint. I can also add the card here. If I know the card number, I just can directly type in the name, the number, or I can use a USB card reader to enroll the card, or I can just directly select here and say from which reader is the card coming, and I can directly, using the reader that is connected to the controller, use this reader to enroll the card number. In this case, I'm only have use the fingerprint. Here we have some functions that we can add to the user. One is we can set a valid time for him. In this case, there's no valid time. He will be just active until I delete him or I disable this user. I can have also a delay passage. It means that for some users, maybe they have they are using a wheelchair and they need some special additional time to go through the door. So I can activate this delay passage here, and so I will have some extra time. So, okay, I've created the user. I have assigned him to the access level to open door 1. So if we go to the real-time monitor, and if I use my finger to, okay, you can see that I'm recognized. And in the real-time monitor, I can also see a pop-up with a user picture. If I use my duress fingerprint, you will see that it will activate an alarm. Okay, here in door, we have some different, if you click on edit, we have some changes that we can do to the configuration, to the door configuration. The most important are this one. I can select the verification mode. In this case, I allow card or fingerprint, but it can be possible that in some doors, I only want to allow a special verification type. For example, I don't trust in the people, and it's possible that someone is passing the card to another, and I want to force that the people can only use a fingerprint. So I can select verification type only fingerprint, and on this door only fingerprint will be allowed. In another case, I can set just automatic, and it will allow all the verification types. Here I can also set, if I'm using a door sensor connected to my controller, I can do the setup here. This you see when I have the when I have a door sensor configured, it has gray out to configurations that are only available if I have a door sensor, and one of them is this enable locking door when door is closed. Okay, this option is important because the lock open duration is the time, the seconds that the door is activated, that the relay is activated. So if there's a correct verification, the door will open for 5 seconds by default. Maybe I can have this time up to 10 seconds. So imagine in this situation, someone verifies, the door will be open for 10 seconds. I verify, I go through the door, I close the door, and I do all the operation in only 3 seconds. So it means that the door will remain still open for 7 additional seconds. With this option activated, when I verify on the door, I will open the door, and when the door detects that it's closed, it will disable the relay, and the door is again closed, and someone can come behind of me, and he will find the door closed. So it's an important function. Also, the door relay is the time. I want to set a time that I consider like a normal open. After 15 seconds, there will be an alert, an alarm that the door wasn't closed correctly. The passage delay is what I mentioned before. Maybe by default, the opening time is 5 seconds. And for people that are disabled or on wheelchairs, whatever, they need some additional time. In that case, for the people that activate the passage delay, they will have 15 seconds to go through that door. The passage mode time zone is a time zone. During these hours, the door will be open. Okay, by default, there's nothing assignated. If I assign from 9 to 18, it means that from 9 to 18, the relay will be activated and the door will be open. It's common that during the office hours, one door is open, and after the office hours, the door will be closed, and the people need to verify. It's important that this passage mode time zone is just, let's say, something like just the opposite of active time zone. Active time zone, in this case by default, is 24 hours. It means the time that the door is active. If I set it only from 9 to 18, it will mean that the door after 18 is not more active. So even if I have a 24 hours access level, I cannot open this door. The door is no more active. The REX mode is the record to exit, request to exit. It means the exit button in this case is available 24 hours. If I assign here the time zone, in this case from 9 to 18, the exit button will be only available from 9 to 18. After 18, the exit button is disabled. Here in readers, we have an interesting option that is, this is mainly to change the name of the reader. If we want to, by default, it assigns some name like door 1 in, door 1 out. Maybe we want to change the name of the readers, we can change it here. But this one, bind and bind to camera, it's important because here, in this case, I don't have add a camera to my video module. If I add a camera to my video module, here I can link one camera with one reader. So later in the linkages, if there's, we create a linkage between an event in one door, it will directly pop up or make a picture or make a recording of the camera that is linked to this reader. On this part, real-time monitor, I will make a review of the most important access control functions that we will find in the software. You see that the access functions are divided in two parts. One are the basic access control functions, the standard access control functions that you can find in other software like ZKBioSecurity, for example. And the advanced functions, these are functions only supported in ZKBioSecurity and only supported by the products, by the green label products. From the standard access control functions, we have the interlock. The interlock will only, in this case, I have only one door, so I cannot create an interlock. Interlock is the very typically used in banks where we have two doors and we cannot open the second door if the first door is not closed. Okay, this is the interlock. The interlock will only work if we have some sensors configured. Without sensors, it's not possible to configure to have an interlock because the system has to know the status of the door. The linkages, I will go back later to the linkages because it has some interesting things. Anti-passback, in this case, the anti-passback of the standard functions is a standard anti-passback. It means that I can create only anti-passbacks between the doors that belongs to a same controller. If we want to make anti-passbacks more complete anti-passback, more complicated anti-passbacks, we have a global anti-passback and advanced functions. In this case, I have only a one door controller. So with only one door, I have only one combination, only one possible combination. This possible combination is that I have an anti-passback between the two readers in my controller. If I have a two-door controller or four-door controller, I have more options. Okay, the first person normal open is a function that we can assign to one door. We can set this function to one door. We assign a passage time zone. It means that the door one, I I assign this door 1 the time zone that is from 9 to 18, and I select a user. In this case, I only have one user, that is Miguel. So in this case, if Miguel punch in door number 1, it will activate this passage time zone. So the door will be open until 18, or until Miguel punch again his card. This is very common used in cases that there's a security guard controlling an entrance. If someone is controlling an entrance, then when this person arrives, he will be watching other people that go inside, so it's not necessary for the people to verify. If he leaves, the security guard leaves the entrance, he can punch his card and the people need to verify. Or if he forgets to disable this passage time zone, after 16, after this time zone, the people have to verify again. The multi-person group is used if I need for one door to verify more than one person together. I can create a group of people and then assign to one door how many people need to punch together from that group to open this door. The verification mode is what I mentioned before, that I can have for different time zones, I can have different verification types. So I can create a low security verification time zone, and I can create a high security verification time zone. This is for the same, okay. The linkage. Okay, the linkages is a very interesting function in which we can link different events. You see that here we have all our trigger conditions. It means that these are all the events that can happen in one controller. I show you before the duress fingerprint. You see that duress open alarm. So I can select this trigger condition, the duress open alarm, and this is the entry point, any of the doors. In this case, I have only one door, but in any of the doors. And here we'll select the outputs. What I want to do if someone used the duress fingerprint. So first I can make a connection, an output. I can activate an output. In this case, I select auxiliary output 1, and I want to activate for 5 seconds the auxiliary output 1. So that means that if someone used the duress fingerprint, the auxiliary output 1 will be activated for 5 seconds. So I can connect it to an alarm system or to some external alarm sign, loudspeaker or whatever. We can also link it with one email. In this case, if I enter an email address, it will send a notification to this email address. So I will receive, if someone punch uses duress fingerprint, I will receive an email that someone is using his duress fingerprint in door 1. And I can also link it, make a linkage with my video system. I can, if this event is happening, I can have a pop-up, real-time pop-up. In the real-time monitor, I will have directly a pop-up to the door that is linked with a video channel that is linked to this door. I can make a video record for 30 seconds in this case that I can review later in my reports, or I can make a capture. The capture is to just take a picture. Okay, the advanced functions. The advanced functions are only available in ZKBioSecurity. No other software has these advanced functions. And these advanced functions need a special configuration. And this special configuration is the background verification. This option needs to be activated. If we don't have activated the background verification, we will not have the advanced functions. And by default, this background verification is not activated. You see it by default, it's disabled. We have to enable it. It means that the background verification means that the controller will always send some information to the server, and the server will decide if one person have access or not. This will give us some advantages, because we can have a global system, not an individual. The controller is not deciding by itself, so it's not an individual part. In this case, with the background verification, we have a global system control from the software. But it's important that we decide what happens if the server goes offline, because all the advanced functions will, of course, only work if the server is online. I cannot have a who is inside list if I'm not online. So I have to decide what happens if the server is not online, because it can happen that we lose connection because someone cut the cable, or the server is rebooted, or the server has some problem and goes offline. Then we have to decide what we want to do, which policy we want to have if the server goes offline. We can just select access denied. It means that if the server is offline, all the doors are closed. No one can access. Or we can select that it will continue work in normal conditions. The controller will continue working with the information that is stored inside of the controller, but the controller will not send information to the server because the server is offline. So the people can still go in and out, but if I have some restrictions in my advanced functions, these advanced functions will not work because I'm not online. So I think I forgot to say. So in this case, I will enable it to have the advanced functions. The advanced functions are based on zones. Okay, so we have, by default, we have a zone that is outside. I will create a new zone that is inside. Okay, so I have outside and inside. In this case, I only have a controller with one door, so it doesn't make sense to have more areas or more zones. In this case, I have only one door and it's enough. Now I have to assign the readers that are go from one zone to the other. In this case, I have my door, my controller has only one door, and the reader, the int reader of door 1 is to move from outside to inside. And the reader number 1, the door number 1 out reader is to go from inside to outside. Okay, here you see we have the who is inside. The who is inside, you see, okay, we have, in this case, I have only one zone, and you can see that there's no one inside of this zone. So if I verify on reader number 1 in, and I update this information, you see that I have moved from outside to inside. Okay, here I have an updated list of the people that are inside of each of these areas or zones. It's possible to export this information. This is sometimes requested if there's an emergency. I need an I need a real-time list of the people that are inside of one building. We can generate this list and export it and then print it out. Okay, the global anti-passback We have seen before that here we have the standard anti-passback. In this case, it's the global anti-passback, and it's much easier to apply this anti-passback, and we have some more functions in this anti-passback. First, I enter the name. I just have to select for which zone I want to apply this anti-passback. In this case, it's for inside. And I'm just selecting the zone in which I want to apply the anti-passback. It doesn't matter how much doors I have in this area. All of them, if I go inside, I have to check out, or it will not be possible for me to go in again. We can also set a timed anti-passback. It means that if I have checked in one room, in one area, until 10 minutes after 10 minutes, I cannot go in again. I can set a reset for the anti-passback. I select, for example, at 3 in the morning. And this means that at 3 in the morning, all the anti-passback information will be resetted. Okay, it's very common that I'm controlling the anti-passback during the day, but there's 1 hour after closing that I open all the doors and the people leave the building. And if there are people leaving the building without checking out, when they arrive the next morning, they cannot go in because they didn't check out, so the anti-passback will not allow them to go in again. That's why it's very typical to use reset for the anti-passback. At 3 in the morning, everything is resetted, and then I'm sure that next morning there will not be any problem because of people that are not allowed because of the anti-passback to enter the next day. Here we can select if we want to apply this anti-passback rules to all the people, if we want to apply them only for some selected people, or if we want to exclude some people from this rules. In many cases, the anti-passback rules are used because we want to avoid that the people do some cheating because they have a card and someone enter with his card and he gives the card back to the next one and both of them enter with the same card. Or we want to avoid that someone goes out on any back door for smoking without checking out for the timer attendance. So there can be some people that want to be excluded from that anti-passback rules. The general manager can come and say, okay, the anti-passback rules are for the normal employees, but I want to be excluded. So we can select exclude personnel, and we add some users. Miguel. So in this case, this anti-passback rule will be for all the users, but Miguel will be excluded. The global linkages is similar to our linkages that we have in our standard access control, but in this case, the global linkage, it will allow us in the trigger conditions to set also the trigger conditions that are only available with advanced functions. We will see later that we have an occupancy control in which I can set the maximum capacity of one area. So it can, in some situations, if it's, for example, a parking where I have 20 parking spaces, if the 20 parking spaces are occupied, I want to activate an auxiliary outputs that activates the red light of a traffic jam. So in this case, here with this linkage, in the trigger conditions, I have also the advanced functions. That's a difference to the standard linkage. For interlock, it's also that I can have interlock in the standard interlock. I can have only interlock between the doors that belong to the same controller. Here I can have an interlock between doors that belongs to different controllers. I create a group of doors, and then I can make the interlock for that group of doors. The occupancy control is allows me to have the maximum and the minimum capacity of one area. So if I set the maximum capacity to 20, it means that it allows me to have 20 people inside area, and if someone else wants to enter this area, he has to wait until one person leaves. So it's not possible to have more than 20 users. I can also set the minimum capacity. Maybe this is some kind of security room, and it's not allowed that one person is alone, and there must be always people. There must always be 2 people. So in this case, if there are 3 people, the third person can leave. But if there are only 2 people, they cannot leave. They have to wait until another one comes. It's a configuration that is it's not very common, but it can be some security room where it's always necessary that there's one person always there. Okay, then finally we have the reports. Here we can see, we can review all the reports from that day. We can also apply some filters and export the information. You see that here we have all the different modules. All the different modules are, each of them it's like a separate software, but all of them have always some linkage, are linked in any way with the access control module. So the access control module is the most important module of all of them, and the other one are just additions that in some projects you will need. Here in information, you can have some information about the license information, the modules that you have activated. In this case, I have just installed the software, and it allows a trial period of 1 month. After this 1 month, we have to activate the license. And we just have to activate the modules. The license will allow us to activate only the modules that we need. So if I have an installation with only 20 doors, I can activate a license with that supports 20 doors. And if the license don't have included any more modules, these menus will disappear. I will only see the icons of the modules that belong to my license. Okay, go back to the presentation, and this was what I wanted to show you today. Here you have our contacts, my personal email contact, if you have some questions. Also our sales contact and our webpage if you want to look for more information. I will also open the chat if you have some questions. Yes. Hello, Elvis. How are you, Elvis? With a fire alarm system, how does it integrate with a fire alarm system? Well, it's possible to integrate with a fire alarm system using the auxiliary inputs. It means that probably what you want is that if there's a fire, you want to open the doors. So we can, let me switch again to the software. In the linkages, we can link an auxiliary input with the opening of the door. So linkage, we can link trigger condition. The trigger condition will be auxiliary input shorted. It means that I have connected my fire alarm system to the auxiliary input, and if this contact is shorted, it has a shortcut, I can, for example, open a door in this case. Is it possible to connect, hello Mauro, long time since I see you the last time, I think many years. Is it possible to connect ProFace to ZKBioSecurity? Yes. This is not the version that I have shown you today is not the last version, but this version also supports the ProFace X. But we will launch next week a new version that has even more functions related with, especially related with our own VMS. In the new version of that ZKBioSecurity, we will have an own VMS with facial recognition cameras and especially functions related with our camera products. Can we use facial recognition readers? Yes, ProFace X and SpeedFace are supported in, and also the from the green, it's the ProBio. ProBio has also facial recognition. Surab, again, to occupancy control, does the system generate only some events or it blocks readers? Yes, it will block the readers. It will block the readers. So if the maximum capacity is reached, no one can enter anymore. Fernando, hello Fernando. Will there be other webinars regarding the new modules of biosecurity? Yes. We are just now testing all the functions because it's not easy, because it's not a big change in access control functions. The big change is that in the new version we will have our own VMS. It's a small VMS, so we will have a lot of smart functions from the cameras, and we have also face recognition from our cameras. So there are a lot of things to test, but it's especially regarded with the cameras, not with the access control. If we can make a webinar about ProFace X and the SpeedFace, yes, but yeah, we can add also, but there's nothing special, because the behavior of a SpeedFace and the ProFace X, it's the same as a controller that I have shown you today. The only difference is that we can enroll the face templates. But if we do a second webinar, we can also show how to enroll a face template with a ProFace X. Okay, I don't know if I'm missing something. Anyway, you have I show again my my personal email address. So if there are some questions, you can write me anytime. Also, if you have some suggestions that you want to see in a new webinar, we can, as I told you, we are preparing to present all the new functions that we have in the new version. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.